I know what you're thinking. Boards. Don't you have to be ordained over the age of 18 and have some sort of qualifications in order to perform a wedding ceremony for complete strangers? Well, as it turns out, yes. Yes, you do need all that stuff. And apparently it's actually illegal to, do it anyway. But we'll get into that in a second, okay? Let me start from the beginning. So as you probably know by now, I was a professional wedding DJ by the age of 17. And every single time I DJ'd a wedding, it was the same old thing. Every time. Get there, set everything up, sound check, mic up the officiant, play subtle piano covers of popular soundtracks so that everybody's racking their brain trying to figure out what the song is from. Oh, I know what it is. It's Small Town Girl by Bon Jovi. Everyone takes their seats, the bride comes in, everyone untakes their seats, the officiant officially officiates the wedding to make it official, they kiss, happy music starts playing, then there's an hour of snacks and finger food where everyone's starving but they don't want to admit it, so instead they pile a mountain of cheese, crackers, and grapes onto a flimsy paper plate, going back for seconds and maybe even thirds. Then everyone actually eats dinner. The bride and groom cut the cake, smash it into each other's faces, like we didn't see that coming, and it totally doesn't happen at every single wedding I've ever DJ'd ever. Then the actual party music starts. People are going crazy, hitting the YMCA and the cha-cha slide. And if there's a bar, people are getting, less coherent. Backflip time! This happens every time. I bump sick tunes till the night's over, then I pack up and go home. Simple, right? Of course it is. There will be a quiz on this. So every wedding I DJ pretty much follows this exact format, except for this one wedding, which you could say went a little, off script. It's a cool Sunday afternoon. The wedding's supposed to start at 3 p.m., so I get there at around 1 to set up all my equipment. I do mic checks, speaker tests, etc., and it's now about 1:30 p.m. I'm all set up, I'm early, ready to go. I've spoken to the bride and groom, but the only person who has yet to show up is the officiant. Which is pretty normal, unfortunately. These guys tend to show up right before the wedding starts for some reason, which is, in my opinion, a little inconsiderate. Like, just because you've ordained hundreds of weddings and it's no longer special to you, doesn't mean that this isn't one of the most important and special days of these other people's lives. So I'm hanging out, playing them good piano covers, and the time is now 3 p.m., which is when the ceremony was supposed to start. But the bridal party is supposed to give me a thumbs up to start the ceremony music when everyone's in place, and they haven't done that yet. Which makes sense, because it still doesn't look like the officiant has arrived yet. But you know, I'm not too worried, because out of all the weddings I've ever DJ'd, maybe like one of them started on time. And it was still about 15 minutes late. But before I knew it, it was 3:45. And one of the bridesmaids came up to my booth. Hi, I'm Jasmine, the maid of honor. Haha, you know, no big deal.
Do you know if the officiant has shown up yet?
Hey, sorry, I don't think he has. Are you guys ready to go though, whenever he shows up? Oh yeah, we've been ready for like an hour. You know, me and the other bridesmaids, me being the maid of honor. We're, just waiting on him. Yeah, that's, kind of annoying. I'm so sorry. Do you want me to make a quick announcement? Would you? That would be so awesome. And could you just give us a holler if you see him, please? You know, me and the other bridesmaids, of which I am the maid of honor. Of course, absolutely. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the wait. Just working on a few, technical difficulties, but we should be getting a move on everything here soon. So sit down, relax, mingle, and enjoy the music. Okay, now it's getting strange. Normally at this point, if the wedding hasn't started yet, it's because the bridal party isn't ready and they're doing their hair or something. Not because the officiant still hasn't shown up. A little while later, it is now 4:15. I'm getting a little worried because at this point, all the bridesmaids and the groomsmen are out by the front of the venue making phone calls and watching the road. They even opened up the snack bar to everyone, which was usually reserved for after the ceremony, but desperate times. And now it is 5 p.m. The ceremony should have started 2 hours ago, but everyone's just sitting around eating grapes, all because of one person. In fact, he's one of the 3 most important people who you need in order to even have a wedding. The officiant. And he still hasn't shown up yet. Apparently, the bride and groom did not know him personally. He just came recommended by the venue. He apparently hasn't gotten in touch at all with the wedding planner. He hasn't answered any phone calls, texts, nothing. At this point, even the venue staff are reaching out to this guy and all of his known associates to find out where the heck he is. Did he book a double wedding? Did he somehow get the address wrong? Did he allegedly go into space for 11 minutes and forget how to live on Earth like Katy Perry? I mean, no one has any idea. Another hour goes by, and it is now 6:15. Almost 3.5 hours since the ceremony should have started. And absolutely no word from this guy. Meanwhile, all the guests are starving, and the snack table is now completely empty. And now the staff at this venue, including the chefs who were going to prepare dinner, felt so bad, they actually whipped up some really awesome appetizers for everyone. They apparently had some extra ingredients left over from a previous wedding, so they brought out these incredible little egg rolls, which were so good. Maybe it's because everyone was on the brink of passing out, we were so hungry, but those were some of the best darn egg rolls I have ever had in my life. It is now getting so late. I don't know how this is possible, but I am almost completely out of just barely unrecognizable piano covers. Oh, I know this one! This is from Fortnite! At this point, everyone looked like they were honestly debating whether or not they should just leave. And needless to say, the maid of honor is freaking out when all of a sudden, hi everyone, sorry for the wait, just a little mix-up, that's all.
It's the bride.
Hey, hi, can I ask you a favor? Of course, you have a song request? Not exactly. You have a microphone, right? I sure do. And what can I do for you this evening, ma'am? Would you mind, since you have a microphone, performing the wedding ceremony by chance? I'm sorry, are you serious? Yes, I am, dead serious. Since the officiant who we hired never actually, showed up, it's either we reschedule this day, which I've been working on for 1.5 years, and ask my great-grandmother to fly back out from Nebraska in a few months again.
She barely made it the first time.
Or you perform a quick little ceremony and I can get married. Hey, hi, Jasmine here. Maid of honor, by the way. I don't know if you knew. We all do. Hey, isn't it actually illegal to not be ordained and perform a wedding ceremony? Yeah, and I'd probably need to be over the age of 17. Yeah, like, this is such a stupid idea. He could get arrested and ruin your perfect day. Oh, Jasmine, having you as my maid of honor is the best decision I've ever made.
Really?
Oh yeah, you always have something positive to say. It's one of the things I love about you. Wait, oh my gosh, I think that guy over there doesn't know you're in my wedding party.
Where?
Listen, okay, yes, it's technically illegal to perform a wedding ceremony if you're not ordained. But here's the thing, we actually got officially, legally married about a week ago at the courthouse, and this is actually just a ceremony for friends and family. And some of these people traveled a long way to get here today. We rented this whole venue, which was not cheap, and this officiant guy better lose his license after this, capiche? Look, I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I just want to be married already. So do you think you could do me a huge favor and, well, MC my unofficial wedding party for me? This woman looked so sad and defeated. She has been looking forward to this day, to this ceremony, for over 1.5 years. And she just asked me to help make it happen for her. And well, if they already got married legally in a courthouse, then technically all I'd be doing is just giving a speech at a wedding, right? I mean, people do that all the time. So I took a deep breath, and I said no. I'm just kidding. I looked into her eyes, I sighed and said, all right, give me about 5 minutes. Oh, thank you so much. Now the clock is ticking, and 5 minutes is all I need. Because you see, I used to do this event, my homeschool speech and debate league called Impromptu, where you pull a random topic out of a bag that says something like firefighter, and you have 2 minutes to come up with a 5-minute speech on whatever you want concerning the topic firefighter. It could be persuasive, it could be a story with a moral. It doesn't matter as long as it's a good speech. The important thing is that I learned the extremely important skill of how to come up with an entire speech based around one topic on the fly. And let me remind you guys, this was years ago, before AI, so I couldn't just go to ChatGPT and be like, write me an emotionally heartfelt, moving speech that an officiant would say during a wedding ceremony. No, I had to craft this thing myself, and I only had 3 minutes left. I'm gonna try and remember everything I can about my speech so I can reenact it as close as possible. But during that 5 minutes, I compiled a bullet point list of everything I had heard other officiants say at every other wedding I had DJ'd up until this point and wrote a speech. And I genuinely prayed God would give me the perfect words to say so that I don't, ruin their wedding ceremony. And unfortunately, I didn't really have enough time to proofread what I wrote before going up to the bride and saying, I'm ready, let's do this. And before I knew it, I'm standing up there between the bride and groom in front of a crowd. I'm just about to start my speech when I realized something. I had left my phone at my DJ booth, so I didn't even have my notes. But you know what? This is actually okay, because in impromptu speech and debate, you're not actually allowed to use notes when you deliver your speech, which means all of my impromptu speeches I have ever given have been preparing me for this very moment. It was then that I realized I had been standing there for about 30 seconds just contemplating all of this, and everyone was looking at me, so before I knew it, I opened my mouth. Dearly Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the joining of these two tremendous people. In fact, we gathered here almost 4 hours ago, and we're still here. We love them so much. That's true. But seriously, today is the start of something new. It's essentially the pilot episode of the reality TV series which is your life together. And up until this point, each of your individual lives have been prequels, spin-off series that's not as great as the original, full of boring filler episodes. But now, it's time for the fan favorite. Oh, that's so beautiful. Marriage is not about perfection. Trust me, I know, even though I'm not married. That bit is provided by God. So marriage is primarily about connection. It's about saying, I forgive you, when they leave their dirty socks in the dishwasher. It's about, agreeing to be each other's emergency contact when you're filling out a waiver at a trampoline park. You're losing them, boards. Get them back. Breathe. Lock in! Love is about compromise. If one of you wants a cat and one of you wants a dog, you might just have to compromise and get a hamster named Cat Dog. Do you have the rings? Rings! The symbol of marriage. Marriage. A perfect, flawless, never-ending circle, which represents God's never-ending love for you and your never-ending love for each other. You may now put it on her finger. That looks lovely. You may now put his on. Bit of a squeeze, that one, but we'll pretend we don't notice. In marriage, one of you will always be learning valuable lessons, and the other one is always right. You must try your best always to not yell at each other, unless the house is on fire, or perhaps they're on the second floor. Now today may not have gone as planned, but neither will the rest of your lives, so you must do your best to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So, without further ado, by the power vested in me, by God, and this wireless JBL UHF microphone and sound system, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now shine each other's shoes. What did he say? I don't know. That was a little joke for you. You may now kiss the bride. I ran back over to my DJ booth, and I started playing some party music while the happy couple ran back down the aisle. And at this point, I thought all the craziness was over, and since the wait time for the ceremony was insane, all the guests just went buffet style when they served dinner, and right then I started playing dance music to get the party started. And since it was so late, I was technically supposed to be wrapping up the reception by now, but this was such a unique situation, I was prepared to bump tunes till the bride herself tells me that the party's over. Little by little, everyone finished their plates and made their way onto the dance floor. Normally this is where things get crazy, but lucky for me, it was a dry wedding, which means there were no drinks except for water, so everything was going great. Yo guys, wanna see a backflip? Woo, yeah, that felt good. Woo, yeah! Okay. Oh my gosh, I forgot, since there were no drinks, people actually have control over their motor functions. So the backflip dude actually ended up being all right this time. Dude, I didn't know you could do that. Heck yeah, bro. I have a secret life you don't even know about. What? A few hours pass. A lot of people have started leaving, and everyone else is saying their goodbyes, when all of a sudden, it's him. The officiant. I recognize him, because I've seen him perform a couple of ceremonies at a few of the weddings I DJ'd, but this time, he looked a little different. Normally he's wearing a nice suit, nice tie, all that stuff. You know, he's a professional. But right now, I am dead serious when I say he is wearing some mud-stained denim overalls, a previously white but now discolored hand-cut tank top, a rundown dirt-covered straw hat, and these super nasty rubber fishing boots caked in mud and algae. This guy, the officiant, looked like he had just come from fishing at the lake and had just lost track of time. He walks up to the couple like, "Hey guys, how's everything going? I see you've started without me. Hey, you know, now that I'm here, we should do a quick ceremony right now. You know, make it official. Unless you had, you know, another officiant ordained by the state perform your wedding." I guess we could do that. Why not, right? Fantastic. Right now, it's almost 10 p.m. This guy, who was supposed to be here, 7 hours ago, shows up unbelievably late after he took what looks like a leisurely afternoon of fishing. And he has the audacity to show up now and not apologize, but just pick up like nothing ever happened and just perform a ceremony. Like seriously, he got paid for this. So right there on the dance floor, this guy gave the most generic, run-of-the-mill speech and performed a second ceremony for this couple. "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Whew, anyone else starving? I'm gonna hit up the buffet." I'm not even joking. He finishes the ceremony and immediately goes over to the buffet, gets a plate, and walks over to my DJ booth. "Hey, bud, I heard you filled in for me at the ceremony earlier." And doing my best to be polite, I just said, "Yeah, I did my best, but obviously didn't do as good a job as you could have." And he just takes a huge bite of a bread roll. He looks at me and goes, "Well, of course not, because I'm actually, you know, ordained." Oh, good bread roll. I cannot believe this guy and how he was acting. And from what I saw, he not once said sorry to the bride and groom or, "Hey, apologies for being like 7 hours late to your wedding." In fact, right after he finished his second plate of only bread rolls, he just left. Didn't even say goodbye to anyone. Like, dog. If someone's counting on you to do something, no, not even that. If you're getting paid to do something, you should do it on time to the best of your ability, no questions asked. If you can't, the least you should do is apologize. This dude had zero social awareness. Kind of like the last wedding I DJ'd, where the entire group of people drank actual... Well, you'll just have to check that video out and see for yourself, because it was nasty. Subscribe if you're new, check out the link in the description for my merch, and as always, thank you all so much for watching.